Today I'm going to show you how to calibrate a DocuColor type system using the embedded fiery software. You start out with, if you're going to be here on your copier screen, the first thing you want to do is touch All Services. If you're already on the All Services screen, the next step will be to touch Web Applications. When you get into the Web Applications page, you'll see a button in the upper right called Calibrate. Touch that button. Now you have to log in order to calibrate. Normally, with a normal fiery default setup, the operator login does not require a password. If you want to log in as administrator, don't forget to enter your password first and then touch the login button. Alright, notice here that the system allows you to create calibrations for different types of paper. Plain, heavyweight, extra heavyweight, heavyweight 2, heavyweight 3, coated paper, etc. Today we're just gonna do one calibration for plain, although you have the option of doing multiple calibrations for each paper type. The system shows you when the last calibration was done and what type was done. Today we're going to do the color calibration. Next step is to press continue, and the machine will show you a page asking you what size paper you want the target to be. We need a target in order to do the calibration, and normally you do not have to do the scanner measurement step, but for the sake of completeness today we are going to do that step. We'll first calibrate the copier scanner, and then we will calibrate the printing software. Now on the XP700, this step of doing the scanner calibration is absolutely necessary, but on other systems it is normally not done every time. After you've decided which pages you want to print, and I always print the instructions so we don't skip any steps, touch the print button. Now the system will print out your target. The target is the page that is going to be scanned so that the system can test whether the color densities are of the proper density. Wait for the output to come out, and in this case, as I said, you're going to have two different pages plus the instructions page. Now you have your instructions on the first page, and really all you need to do from this point is follow the instructions step by step exactly as they're described here, but I'm going to demonstrate them for you. Your next page is called the scanner calibration page, and as I mentioned, this step isn't always necessary unless you have an XP700. And then finally you have your color cal page, which is the printing calibration target. And your first step, following the instructions, is to start with the scanner calibration page. Now in order to perform the calibration, you need these test strips. These are made by Kodak, but you can use strips from other manufacturers. This one is the grayscale. That's the first one you need. And if you're also doing the scanner calibration, you also need the color patch strip. You want to center them face down on the glass and position them so that they will be centered on an 8.5 by 11 page. The easiest way to do that, in my opinion, is to line up the right edge with the A4, A5 designation on the Xerox copier glass. Right underneath that you put the color patch, and again this is for scanner calibration only when you're doing the scanner calibration step. Here is the scanner calibration test page. Now you put that face down over the test strips, and you cover that with 3 or 4 extra pages of blank white paper. This provides the scanner with an opaque surface so that when it scans through, it's not scanning through the target page. Once that's all in place, you go away from the calibration screen, you go back to the All Services screen, and then you choose Network Scanning, and all of this is detailed on the instructions page. Choose the Color Cal template. The first step then is to go to Image Quality, and the Color Space menu, the option must be changed from Standard Color Space to Device Color Space. Save that. Then go to the next tab, Layout Adjustment. Go to the Original Orientation menu and change upright images to sideways images. Even though this seems counterintuitive, this is the correct step, and it will not work unless you change that option to sideways images. So save that. Then press the Start button as if you were doing an actual scan. The machine is going to read the test page and the calibration strips. and store the data. Then you go to All Services again, back to Web Applications, and it'll bring you back to the calibration page that you were on before. Now you touch the button Measure Page, and the machine will read all the data that it just scanned. I should say the calibration software is going to read all the data that it just scanned, and when it says Calibration Successful, you press Continue. Now the scanner has been calibrated, and the next step is to calibrate the printer. Go back to the glass, take off the extra pages and save those because you're going to need them for the next step. Remove the color patch test strip, and I should mention too, when you're handling these patches, be careful not to when you're handling these test strips, be careful not to touch the color patches or the grayscale patches. Put the color cal page on the glass over the top of the grayscale, and put those extra few sheets of paper on top again and close the lid. Repeat the same steps that you did for the scanner calibration. Go back to All Services, Network Scanning, choose the color cal template, change the image quality to Device Colored Space under the Color Space menu, and then go to Layout Adjustment, change Original Orientation to Sideways Images, save that. Return to All Services, Web Applications, my apologies, I'm backing up here. Back on the network scanning screen. After you've made those changes, don't forget to press the Start button to scan the data into the system. When you hear the beep and the scan is complete, go back to the calibration page through Web Applications, Calibration, and once again touch Measure Page. The system will read the data that you just scanned, and when it says that the process is complete, calibration successful, touch the Continue button. Now you'll have the option to print a before and after page, which I recommend. So print comparison page, touch print, and wait a minute or so before the before and after pages are printed out. Here we go. Okay, it's one page. The top row shows you the difference in the RGB image rendering before the calibration and after the calibration. The bottom row, the bottom half, shows you the difference in the CMYK images before the calibration and after the calibration. So compare the before and after, and I think you will agree with me that, in generally speaking, these images on the bottom are superior to the ones on top. So we want to save the calibration, because the calibration will not be applied until you touch the Apply button on the screen, because at this point, if you don't like the after, you can cancel the calibration. But I like it, so I'm going to touch Apply. And the calibration is successful, so the machine has now been calibrated for printing purposes. Thank you for your time and attention.